Two best friends, seasoned astrologers, coming at you on a mission to make astrology sexy again. And we're bringing you a show where we talk
everything sexier.
Make everything sexy.
Making
again.
life more sexy.
Make
Please.
life sexy again. Make America sexy again. We're coming back with our segment. It's a show where we're going to be talking about former lovers of ours and either placements of theirs that made them sexier or placements of theirs that drove us fucking crazy and the pitfalls that you can avoid if you also have this placements or are dating someone with those placements.
Let's go with the Mars and Gemini. And hey, people can...
Get in the frame. Get in the frame.
Okay,
Get in the frame.
I'm gonna have to get in this.
Get on there.
I'm gonna have to get in this chair.
Get up on me. Get up on me.
Making life more sexy.
We're so platonic. We're platonic best friends.
I don't know why everyone thinks that we fuck all the time.
Why are all your girlfriends jealous of me?
I have no idea. They're tripping. Bitches be crazy.
Men too.
All right, so speaking of crazy, Mars and Gemini. And I do mean fucking crazy. First, they want to Gemini twin with you. They mirror you so hard. And then it's like fracture the fucking mirror. It's deflect, avoid everything. It's like you're trying to get anything pinned down or real or pierce through some sort of like fog or veil or illusion. And it's just an endless like rabbit hole.
And before you get
carrots dangling.
And before you get too nervous, I also have a Mars in Gemini.
And she's my favorite.
So
like,
there's
of all
a way,
time.
there
and
is
I've
a
never
way.
been mirrored and tracked like a motherfucking genius better.
So there are gifts to this sign, but the shadow, the
Beyond.
unintegrated, the lower expression of it can be like vague, deflect, disappear.
And because it's Gemini and it's a master of words, like a wordsmithing wizard magician. And so there's like a really brilliant way of like weaving webs and narratives to like draw people in and also catch them and catch themselves.
And if you are dealing with someone with strong Gemini placements in a relationship, it's really easy to get in this fight of like my world versus your world, my reality versus your reality. Because someone with that Gemini, they're so skilled at traveling through different worlds, but they have like a vulnerability around their own world. You know, like you in that Gemini place, you might want your world to be seen and validated because you're so good at seeing and validating everyone else's. So it can feel like really tender and confronting and threatening if someone doesn't see and understand you. And then, all of the deflection defense mechanisms come out.
And get really hung up on like one word. And that's where it starts to just be really important to discern, is this person trying to build the bridge with me? Because it's not going to be this one world or your world or my world versus, it's going to be like yes and it's going to be like, oh, like let me see it through your lens. Let me build this bridge and we can create this, shared experience of reality together, even if we have differing experiences.
Which is actually
the
what
gift of Gemini.
You're so fucking masterful at. I want to talk about a lover of mine who had Mars in Aquarius. Now, I love Mars in Aquarius. The Aquarius rules the nervous system. So there's this ability to have this refined attunement to this sensitivity. Mm-hmm. And actually, I think when you're engaging with someone erotically, it's much more in the nervous system than we give it credit for. Like you can do all these like physical things, tactics, tips and tricks, moves, but if you're not aroused, if you're not in a receptive nervous system state, it doesn't matter the level of technique you have.
And also if that physicality doesn't come in that flow with the energy, if there's no energy to back it up, if it's not sustaining it, if it's not guiding it, and all of that sensitivity and that subtlety is inside of this like Aquarian.
Not only that, but he had Mars and Aquarius in the 8th house, which is that Scorpio merging house of erotic power. So he was definitely super erotically powerful, but the other side of Aquarius is it can get very insecure about how it's being received, and it can get very scared about losing its individuality and being overtaken. And so, of course, he went into a very hard avoidant posture where he wouldn't let me in. and he couldn't be vulnerable and honest about what was going on, because I also think sometimes Aquarius, when they feel threatened, they put on a mask and a front and they try and hold it all together. And it ruined our relationship, that he couldn't be honest with me just about how sensitive he actually was and what was really going on in his own nervous system, which I think is actually a nervous system trauma, fear response. So both things were occurring in his nervous system. One, his heightened sensitivity, that I think if he'd actually been vulnerable and open to, would have been this portal to subtle, nuanced, galactic star intelligence realms of like the deepest, most beautiful love, where we could both hold on to ourselves and yet fully accept and embrace the other's individuality. And yet, because of that fear and trauma in the nervous system, he was so afraid of being seen as weak and vulnerable that he couldn't let me in, and then did this masking thing that kept me out. And Mama doesn't play that way. I'm not going to be in dealing with someone's mask where they're not telling me the truth of what's actually going on, and where we're not deepening together.
And in that like locked holding pattern.
And so where's that Mars? Mars deepens, right? And Venus imbues and radiates with positive energy. His Mars had so much potential to deepen, and yet...
And liberate, and like guide for liberation.
And yet it clamped down, it held strong, and it suffocated the life out of our connection.
And Aquarian really is that like Prometheus, like bring fire to the gods. Lucifer, like bringing liberation into physical matter, into structure, removing the structure that is actually like confining and keeping us stagnant. And so when they get into that holding pattern and the ego is like, I want my will over divine will, over liberation, then we get more into that shadow aspect. Instead of using that energy and that genius for liberation and for transcendence, it's actually using it for manipulation of matter, manipulation of divine nature.
Are you curious about your seduction archetypes? Take the quiz. Links in